Welcome back! There is two things that totally creep me out. First, clowns, and second, taxi drivers. Throughout the years, I met really crazy people, but nothing that matches this specific person. Keep in mind that being a flight attendant means that sometimes you have to wake up at really weird times. At least twice a month, for a period of 1 week, I have to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning to get ready to fly. So let's go back 2 years in time. That's when this crazy horror story started. Was around, let's say, April, and I had to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning to get ready to take the bus to the airport at 4 o'clock. But here in Greece you never know when the buses pass, because sometimes they pass before time and sometimes they pass after time. So just to be safe, it's better to be at the bus stop for like 15 minutes waiting than losing the bus and get a late show. So on that specific morning, was, as far as I remember, it was raining like crazy, and I had a walk of 10 minutes to the bus stop. So I got ready and I started walking to the bus stop. By the time I arrived to the bus stop, would be more or less around 3:45 o'clock in the morning, and I was waiting for at least 5 minutes when this taxi stopped, and the guy asked me, "Are you going to the airport?" And I'm a really grumpy person in the morning, and please don't ask me stupid questions because my brain is not functioning properly at that time in the morning. So the guy asks me, "Are you going to the airport?" And in my brain I had this answer ready. Really, dude, it's 4 o'clock in the morning, where do you think that I'm going with a uniform? But politely I said, "Yes, I'm going to the airport." And he says, "Do you want a lift?" And I was like, why not? Okay, it might seem stupid what I did, but it was raining. I had this like tiny umbrella and I was getting wet, and I said, "Okay, it depends on the price." And he said, "I'll take you to the airport for 5 euros. It's around 35 euros nighttime, let's say." And due to weather conditions, I said yes. By the time I entered the taxi, he said to me, "Where are you from?" And I said, "I'm from Portugal." "Oh, I've never been in Portugal." And I'm the type of person that is not comfortable with these small conversations, because I don't like small conversations. But the guy kept going. "So, you are a flight attendant?" "Really?" "Yes, I am a flight attendant." "Do you live alone?" And I was like, "Dude, that's not a question to do to a costumer." But I said, "No, I don't live alone, I have a housemate." And the guy kept going, asking me weird questions that I can barely remember. It was early in the morning and I was sleepy, grumpy, hungry, and everything that you might imagine. So, at a certain point during the trip to the airport, he says to me, "Oh, take my card. If you need something, just give me a call and I'll drive you to the airport. It doesn't matter the time, I'll take you to the airport." And I thought, whoa, that's such a nice person. And he says, "And I'll give you a discount." And I was like, "Okay, thank you very much." So he dropped me at the airport. He asked me for the 5 euros. I gave him the 5 euros and I kept going with my normal life. Some weeks passed and I had a home standby, which means that you are not flying unless they call you, and if they call you, of course, you have to get ready and go to the airport. And on that day, I remember that I was home standby and they called me. And I was like, oh, shoot me. How I'm gonna go to the airport? I had, let's say, an hour to be at the airport. And I remember that the guy said, "If you ever need something, just call me." And I was like, okay, I think it's the time to call that guy. So I called him and I said, "Listen, I just got called from home standby and I have an hour to be at the airport. So are you available to take me to the airport?" And he says, oh, I'm on my way to the airport, I have this lady on the car, so if you don't mind to share the taxi with this lady, for me it's okay. And I said, well, if the lady doesn't mind, I don't mind too. And he says, oh, the lady doesn't mind? Just text me with your address and I'll be in your house in 15 minutes, 20 minutes maximum. And I said, great. I switched off the phone call, I text him with my address and I got ready. To be honest, in 20 minutes the guy was there. And I was so grateful for that. I went in the taxi and he says, oh, today it's your lucky day. And I was like, well, I don't really think so. They just called me to work and I should be home. And I had a bunch of things to do. So I'm not very happy with the fact that I have to go to the airport. Because actually on that day I had a lot of things to do. And he says, oh, but you should be happy because you are flying and the customers will see your beautiful face. And I was like, what are you saying? He asked me this question, is your housemate there in your house? And I was like, well, she lives there, so where's she supposed to be? And he says, good for you, at least you're not alone. And I was like, okay. I had this like small conversation with the lady that was in the taxi. I was like, thank you very much for letting me share the taxi with you. It's really nice because I don't have that much time to be at the airport and it would be a big mess if I had to call to another taxi driver. And she says, oh, no worries, everything is fine, so you pay your part, I'll pay mine, and everything is sorted out. And I was like, okay. At that point, the guy was not asking me more weird questions, so he dropped us at the airport and he says to me, oh, from you is 15 euros. And he said the price to the lady. So I gave him 20 euros and he gave me back 15. And I thought, whoa. But he was smiling and, you know, like this. And I was like, okay, weird. So I didn't have that much time to lose, so I just printed out, not even thinking about that. By the time I arrived to the office to do the check-in and everything, my phone rang. It was a text message, and in the text message the guy said, thanks God you didn't say anything, I don't want you to think that was a mistake, was a discount as I promised you. And I was like, okay. I didn't answer because I didn't have time. The day went on and by the time I arrived home, my bunny was sick. And when your bunny is sick, that is like a short period of time that you can take the bunny to the vet, otherwise the bunny might die. So when I arrived home and I saw my bunny sick, I thought, shit. I was texting to my boyfriend. At that point he was finishing the uni and he was 2 hours away from Athens. And I text him saying, please just find me a vet that is open 24 hours because Momo is sick and I really have to take Momo to the vet. After like 5 minutes he called me back, gave me the address of the vet, and I decided to call to the same taxi driver. So I called him and I was like, hi, it's Paula. And he was like, hi sweetheart, how are you today? And I was like, not very good, I need your services again. My bunny is sick and I really need that you drive me to the vet. And he said, okay, no worries, just give me half an hour, I'm in the center of Athens, I need half an hour to be in your house. And I was like, great. I just removed my uniform, put some clothes, normal clothes on, and got the bunny ready to go to the vet. So when the taxi driver reached my house, I told him, listen, the vet is near the airport. And he said, no worries, even if I had to drive you to China, there was no problem with that. But at that point, I was not even thinking about the sketchiness around. I just wanted to go to the vet, fix my bunny, and go back home. Would be, I think was around 1 o'clock in the morning, something like this. So he drove me, he put the address on the GPS, he got lost, but he managed to find the way to the vet. I asked him, do you mind to wait for me? It might take like half an hour, 45 minutes, do you mind to wait? And he said, of course I'm gonna wait for you. Just go inside, do whatever you have to do, and then come back. I went inside, Momo was checked by the vet. The vet said, thanks God you brought the bunny and all this stuff. He told me what the bunny had, what I had to do. Normally I don't have that much money on my wallet. And I was like, okay, I'll pay the vet with a credit card. and I'll pay the taxi driver with money. So by the time I decide to pay in the vet, the device for the credit card was not working. I had to pay in cash. I thought, well, I'll tell the taxi driver to stop in the ATM machine, I'll take some money, I'll pay to him, and I'm done with this. When I finally got out of the vet, I told the taxi driver, listen, whenever you can, just stop in ATM machine because I need money to pay you because the device was not working inside, and I explained the whole story. And he said, love, don't worry about that. So he was driving all the way back to my house, and I clearly remember that we passed a bunch of ATM machines and he was not stopping. And I told him, listen, I really need you to stop because I need to get some money. I don't have any money on me. And he said, don't worry about that. And I was like, of course I worry about that. He started like asking me questions about my bunny, what the vet said about the bunny. My mind was screaming like, dude, don't ask me questions. I had a huge day, plus my bunny's sick, and I'm not in the mood to small talks. But he kept going, and just to stop him there, I said, if you don't mind, I'm gonna call my boyfriend because he might be worried as well, so I'm just gonna call him. So I called my boyfriend and I said, listen, I'm on the taxi back home. Momo, it's gonna be fine, have some medication and whatever the vet said. And that's when the things got totally out of control. I was on the phone with my boyfriend and the bloody taxi driver was answering to me. Like, I asked my boyfriend, did you have food? And the taxi driver was saying, yes, I did. And I was like, dude, I'm not even talking to you. And I started freaking out. And at that point, I guess that my boyfriend understood there was something really wrong. My boyfriend said, are you okay? And I was like, yeah. And he said, okay, just text me. Of course, when I was texting my boyfriend, I told him that I was getting freaked out with the taxi driver. I explained the whole story, and he said, do you want me to call you again so you can feel a little bit more safe the rest of the trip? And I was like, yes, please. So my boyfriend called me, we kept going on the phone, and then I spotted the ATM and I said to the taxi driver, listen, do you mind to stop and I'll take some money? And he said, oh, no worries, I'm just gonna take you home, I'm tired. And I was like, but I don't have any money on me to pay you. And he kept saying, no worries about that, we will sort it out any other time. Okay, he drove me home, and I was so creeped out by this, I couldn't pay him because he didn't stop. And he said, oh, whenever you need my services again, we sorted out this. And I was like, well, but that's not what I said for you to do. And he said, oh, no worries about that, I'm really tired, I didn't really want to stop again, and this and that. And I was like, okay, so I'll call you one of these days and we're gonna sort it out, the payment. So I left the taxi, I went back home, and I called again my boyfriend. I said, listen, the guy is a weirdo. And he said, okay, don't freak out, maybe the guy was just tired. And he was kind of trying to find some excuses for that. And I was like, okay. So I went to sleep, and on the next morning, at 9 o'clock in the morning, I woke up with a text message, which I could read saying, hi love, how are you today? How's your bunny? The taxi driver had the guts to text me at 9 o'clock in the morning to ask me how was my bunny. I was storming, like, this is not normal. This is not normal here in China or anywhere. I called my boyfriend and I said, listen, I need you to talk to this dude. He's texting me, asking me how's my bunny, like I'm an old friend. So my boyfriend said, okay, just text me with a number, I'll call the guy, let me see what I can do. And I was like, okay. So I texted the phone number, and after some minutes my boyfriend called me back and he said, no worries, he will not text you again. I told him that you don't have credit on your phone and that on your next days off we are going to the center to pay him. And I asked him kindly not to bother you again. And I said, great. So I worked the rest of the week. There was nothing weird happening. And on my days off, my boyfriend was coming back from the place that he was studying, and he said, okay, we are going to the center to pay to this crazy guy. And I said, okay. We went to the center of Athens looking for this crazy person, and we called him. My boyfriend called him, and he said, listen, this is Paulo's boyfriend, and we are in the center to pay you for the trip to the vet. And he said, oh, I'm not in the center of Athens. We might schedule this for another day. And my boyfriend, yeah, but my girlfriend is a little bit worried because she didn't pay you. And the guy says this to my boyfriend. Oh my god, you're such a lucky guy. She's such a sweet girl. And I was like, dude, you're not saying this. You know, you don't say this kind of things. And he said, I'm in a bit of a rush. I'll talk to you later. And my boyfriend said to me, well, he doesn't want the money for sure. We're gonna try again and see if he wants the money. So that days off passed. We tried to call him like 100 times, but he was not answering the phone. And on the next week that I was working, I had a standby or something like that. And I woke up in the morning and I was opening the windows in my house, and I saw a taxi outside, and the dude was inside the taxi waiting for God knows what. I freaked out. At that point I thought to call the police because this is stalking. Well, I called my boyfriend and he said, no worries, I'm gonna call him. So by the time my boyfriend called, the car started moving, and I thought, well, maybe it's gone. So after that we waited for my next days off, and we went back again to the center to pay to this crazy person, and he never answered the phone, and I was getting scared that he would call me or something. So I changed my phone number, and after some time I ended up moving to another house. So yeah, this is my crazy story with a taxi driver. Please give this video a big thumbs up if you liked the video, and leave in the comments down below if you would like to hear more crazy stories like this one, because I can guarantee you I have a bunch of them. And yeah, please don't forget to subscribe, and this is it for today. See you soon!